Welcome to Job Bridges Japanese Language Training Center. We provide an online tutorial for people who aspires to work in Japan. Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to keep you updated on our lessons to help you master Japanese language in no time. Konnichiwa minasan! Welcome back to Job Bridges Japanese Language video tutorial. And in this video, we'll be discussing lesson 23. And in lesson 23, you'll be learning how to use the toki, verb tara, as well as the verb in dictionary form to. So let's start. So the first sentence pattern, we have the verb dictionary form toki, verb nai form toki, adjective with the at the end, toki, na adjective with the na, toki, and then noun no toki, which all means when. So toki connects two sentences and expresses the time when the state or action described in the main sentence exists or occurs. As shown in the table above, the forms of verbs, adjectives, na adjectives, and nouns connected to toki are the same as the forms when modifying nouns. Now let's take a look at our example. Toshokan de hon o kariru toki kado ga irimasu. Again, toshokan de hon o kariru toki kado ga irimasu. So it means when you borrow books from the library, you need a card. So notice how we change karimas into its dictionary form, which is kariru, which means to borrow, then added toki. And then the main sentence, which is the kado ga irimasu. Now other examples that we have is tsukai kata ga wakaranai toki watashi ni kiite kudasai. Again, tsukai kata ga wakaranai toki watashi ni kiite kudasai. So when you don't know how to use it, ask me. So since the meaning in English is when you don't know, we change the wakarimas into its nai form, then added toki. Now next example. Karada no chushi ga warui toki genki cha o nomimasu. Again, karada no chushi ga warui toki genki cha o nomimasu. Or when I'm not in good shape, I drink genki cha. In this example, we use the adjective. So notice how the of warui, which is bad or not in good shape, and then added toki. And then the main sentence, what do you do or what does the speaker do when he is not in good shape? Is to drink genki cha. Okay, next example. This one, let's use the na adjective. Hima na toki uchi e asobi ni kimasen ka? Again, hima na toki uchi e asobi ni kimasen ka? Or won't you come to my place when you are free? So notice that we use the hima plus the na of the na adjective and then added toki. And then saying in the main sentence that uchi e asobi ni kimasen ka? Or won't you come to my place? So again, the toki means when. Like in the sentence, when you are free, or hima na toki. Now last example. Tsuma ga byoki no toki kaisha o yasumimasu. Again, tsuma ga byoki no toki kaisha o yasumimasu. Or when my wife is sick, I take a day off work. So in this example, we're showing you how to use it with the noun no, then toki. In this sentence, the noun is the byoki or the sickness. Then no, then toki. And then of course, the main sentence when he says that his wife is sick, he took a day off at work, or kaisha o yasumimasu. Now, I want you to notice something in these examples. So I have first, wakai toki amari benkyou shimasen deshita. Again, wakai toki amari benkyou shimasen deshita, or when I was young, I did not study much. And then another example, I have here, kodomo no toki yoku kawa de oyogimashita. Again, kodomo no toki yoku kawa de oyogimashita, or I used to swim in a river when I was a child. What did you notice in these sentences? Yes, you're right. These are all in the past tense. The first one is in the negative past, and the other one is in the affirmative past tense. Now, the tense of adjective sentences and noun sentences which modify toki is not affected by the tense of the main sentences. So even if you wanted to talk about something that happened in the past, like when you were young or when you were a child, it does not affect, again, the noun or the verb or even the adjective that comes with toki. Okay, you just have to express that past tense or whatever tense of the main sentence is at the main sentence. Wakarimashita? Now we have this another sentence pattern. So this is verb dictionary form toki, and then a main clause, and then the verb ta form toki, and then another main clause. But then this one means still when, or again this means when. Now let's see how this differ from the first sentence pattern. So when the verb in front of the toki is in the dictionary form, whatever is described in the main clause happened before the toki clause. And then when the verb in front of toki is in the ta form, whatever is described in the main clause happened after whatever is described in the toki clause. So, are you still confused? Now listen to my example and then I'll explain it to you. So, Pari e iku toki kaban o kaimashita. Again, Pari e iku toki kaban o kaimashita, or I bought a bag when going to Paris. Now let's see the next sentence. Pari e itta toki kaban o kaimashita. Again, Pari e itta toki kaban o kaimashita, or I bought a bag when I went to Paris. Now, both sentences might look the same, but notice the ikutoki from the first sentence and then the ittatoki from the second sentence. Now, can you guess how do they differ? So as I've said earlier, when the verb in front of the toki is in the dictionary form, like in our example, ikutoki, whatever is described in the main clause happened before the toki clause. So meaning, in this first example, the buying of the bag happened before the speaker go to Paris. And then in the second example, as we've said earlier, when the verb in front of the toki is in the ta form, whatever is described in the main clause happened after the toki clause. So meaning, in the second example, the buying of the bag happened after the speaker went to Paris. Understood? Did you get that? Again, in the first sentence, the buying of the bag happened before the speaker went to Paris. And then in the second sentence, the buying of the bag happened after the speaker went to Paris, or maybe during the time he went to Paris, or she, for that matter. Wakarimashita? Now, we have this sentence pattern V or verb in their dictionary form to and then main clause. So this means if or then. So when expressing the situation where as a result of a certain action, another action or matter inevitably happens, to is used to connect the sentences. Example, kono botan o osu to otsuri ga demasu. Again, kono botan o osu to otsuri ga demasu. So press this button and the change will come out. Now, we use to with the press or osu to or oshimasu to press its dictionary form and is osu then added to because when you press the button, the change or the otsuri will inevitably happens. Again, we use the verb dictionary form to and then a main clause when something will happen inevitably or a result of that action inevitably happens with or without your control. So here are other examples that we have. Kore o mawasu to oto ga okiku narimasu. Again, kore o mawasu to oto ga okiku narimasu, or turn this and the volume will go up. So we use mawasu to because inevitably the volume will go up when you turn whatever the speaker is saying. Maybe a knob in a speaker, perhaps. Now this one. Migie magaru to yubin kyoku ga arimasu. Again, Migie mawaru to yubin kyoku ga arimasu. So turn to the right and you will find the post office. Now again, in this one, we use the magaru, then to, because when you turn to the right, you will, whether you like it or not, you will find the post office. Wakarimashita? Now, of course, since these things will happen inevitably when doing such action, expression of one's will, hope, invitation, or request cannot be used in the sentence which follows to. Again, because anything that you use with the verb dictionary form and to will happen inevitably as a result of a certain action. So it cannot be used with something that you want. Okay? Now let's discuss noun ga, adjective, or verb. Again, it's noun ga, adjective, or noun ga, verb. Now you learned in lesson 14 that the subject is indicated by ga when describing a natural phenomenon. But when describing a state or a scene as it is, the subject is also indicated by ga. Take a look at this example. Oto ga chisai desu, or the volume is low. Okay, indicating that the state of the volume is low. And then denki ga akaruku narimasu, or the light become brighter. Again, denki ga akaruku narimasu, or the light became brighter. So we use ga in both sentences because the first one is we're describing a state wherein the volume is low. And then in the second sentence, we're describing that the scene, or even it could also be a state that the light became brighter. That's why we use ga. Alright? Wakarimashita? Now, I don't want you to get confused with this sentence pattern, alright? So in here, we have noun, which is a place, o, and then a verb of movement. Again, noun, which is a place, o, and then verb of movement. Now, the particle o is used to denote the place where a person or a thing passes. You might say, Sensei, I thought that whenever a place or a verb happens in a certain place, de is used. But then again, as I've said, this is for the verb of movement. So the verbs of movement such as sanposhimasu, watarimasu, and arukimasu, etc. are used in this sentence pattern. So what is sanposhimasu? Yes, that's to take a walk. And then watarimasu, to cross, of course, for a street or a road. And then arukimasu, to or by walking. Okay, look at this example, everyone. Koen o sanposhimasu. Koen o sanposhimasu, or I take a walk in the park. So we use o as the particle instead of de because, again, sanposhimasu is a verb of movement. And a certain action did not exactly happen at the park or in the koen, but the person or the speaker just passes on the park. Now, next example, michi o watarimasu. Or again, michi o watarimasu, or I cross the road. So again, we use o instead of de because number one, the speaker just passes, as he says, he just crosses the street. And of course, watarimasu is a verb of movement. Then last example, kosaten o migie magarimasu. Again, kosaten o migie magarimasu, or I turn to the right at the intersection. Again, we use o instead of de because magarimasu, or to turn, is a verb of movement. Remember, we use the particle o to denote the place where a person or thing passes, and for verbs of movement such as sanposhimasu, to walk, watarimasu, to cross a road or a street, arukimasu, to take a walk or to walk or by walking, and then magarimasu, or to turn. All verbs of movement. Wakarimashita, everyone? Alright, that's just it for today. See you on our next videos. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to keep you updated on our lessons so you can master Japanese language in no time.